Today I'm going to show you how to make a ring. We haven't made a ring in a while. I designed this little component a couple of days ago, and I've made it into several things, but I wanted to start with a ring. So we'll probably do some earrings and a few other things with this component, but I wanted to start with a ring, and this is what it looks like on the back. I used 8/0 seed beads. Of course, you could use a smaller one if you want a smaller band, but I like it to be fairly secure. So this is what I did, and I'm calling this pearl button ring because it kind of looks like a button to me. Anyway, let's look and see what we will need. Let me give you one close-up so you can see what it looks like. And then let's look at our material list. For this project, you will need 6mm round beads. I'm using a Swarovski 6mm round cream pearl. You will also need 4mm Bicone crystals. I'm using a Swarovski peach zillion. You will need 11/0 seed beads, 15/0 seed beads, and 8/0 seed beads. I am using Tohos for all of them. 2 of them will be metallic bronze, and the 15/0 is the galvanized gold tone, which is called Starlight in the Toho line. You will also need 8-pound Fireline, though you may elect to use 6-pound Fireline in this particular design because you will be sewing through 15/0 seed beads several times. You may also elect to use a size 12 beading needle instead of a 10 for the same reason. You will want to put about a full wingspan onto your needle, and we will begin. We will begin by putting a series of beads onto our thread and then bringing them down to the end, just leaving a couple of inches of thread. The series we will begin with will consist of 4 6mm round beads and a series of 15/0s and 11/0s in between. We will place a pearl, then 3 15/0 seed beads, an 11/0 seed bead, 3 15/0 seed beads, a pearl, 3 15 and 11, 3 15, a pearl, 3 15 and 11, 3 15, a pearl, 3 15, 11, and 3 15. So basically 4 pearls with a series of 11/0s and 15/0s in between. Start with a pearl, end with your 11/0s and 15/0s. Leave a couple of inches, as I said before, wrap them around into a circle and go back into the first pearl. Actually, you will be sewing through all of them, so just go through a few. And then pull them into, hold on to the beads and pull them into a circle like this. And then we will sew back through all of these beads. Now this will take me a minute because they are 15/0 seed beads and there's several of them. And we want to make sure not to miss any of them as we sew back around to secure the base unit here. So I'm just going to sew around all the way. Up through the last series, and this is where my knot is, so I will go through the pearl again. Actually not a knot, but that's where my tail is. I'm not going to tie a knot because I don't want to block the beads, so you'll want to sew around. And this pearl here is right after my tail, so I'm going to sew up all the way into the next pearl and then into the next 11/0 seed bead and exit. So I will go through all of these little beads here, the little seed beads, and into my pearl, just to get away from my tail and to make sure my piece is fairly secure and won't fall apart as I begin my next step. So now you will want to go around and just exit one of the 11/0 seed beads. Let's back off. Like this. And now we will work from this 11-0 to this 11-0, and we will add the same series in between. We will pick up 3 15-0 seed beads, an 11-0, and 3 15-0s. So I will begin by picking up my 3 15-0s, an 11-0, 3 15-0s. I am coming out of this little 11-0 seed bead. My thread is on this side, so I want to go to the next 11-0 on the same side my thread is on. You don't want to go this way, because if you do, it'll throw your weave off. So go into this next 11-0, skip over the top of your purl, and pull your beads down, just like this. Then we will turn our piece, and we will do the same thing again. Pick up your 3 15-0 seed beads, an 11-0, and 3 15-0 seed beads, like this. And again, our thread is coming out this way. We will go in, skip over the purl, go into the next 11-0, and pull the thread through, like such. Then, again, we will pick up 3 11-0 seed beads, a 15-0 seed bead, or excuse me, 3 15-0s, an 11-0 seed bead, and 3 15-0s. We'll skip over this purl, go into the next 11-0, and pull. Got my tail tangled up in there. You'll want the 11-0s and the 15-0s that you've added to go inside a little square that will start to form, like this. And then one more time, pick up 3 15-0 seed beads, .15-0s never want to go on my needle, an 11-0, and 3 15-0s, like this. We are coming out of this little 11-0. We're going to skip the purl and go into the next 11-0. Like this, and pull it through. And this is what you should have, just a little square like this with your pearls on all 4 corners. Now we're coming out of this 11-0. We are going to go into the 15-0s in the first little loop we made that goes in front of our purl, and we will exit the 11-0 just like this and pull the thread through. We will then pick up a 6mm purl like this, and we're coming out of this 11-0. Our thread is on this side, so we'll go to this 11-0. We'll pick it up and slide through it and pull the purl down into the center of our square, like this. And again, we will do the same thing. We'll pick up a 6mm round purl onto the needle, and then we're coming out of this 11-0. We're going to go into the next 11-0 in the loops that we made that sit inside of our pearls, like this. Pull them down into place. Pick up another 6mm. We're coming out of this 11-0. We are now going to go into this 11-0. Pull the purl down into the center of the square. And one more time, pick up your 6mm round purl or whatever you're using. We're coming out of this 11-0. We are now going to go into the first 11-0 that we began in, and we will also put our needle through the first purl we placed, like this. And this is what we have. Now we are going to go into the 11-0 right next to the purl that holds our pearls into place here. And we're just going to sew through all the pearls in the 11 O's again, just to make sure that it's secure. So just the 11 O's and the pearls in the center of your piece. When you get back to the first one, go ahead and go through the 11 O and the pearl one more time. Pull everything into place and kind of arrange. Just kind of pop the little beads in the center up. They're going to dome just slightly. Pop them up just a little bit and then go into the 11 O and exit through the back of the 11 O so that your needle is exiting through the back of your piece, and turn your piece over. So we are now exiting this little 11 O and we've got our piece turned upside down. What we are going to do now is the same type of stitch from the 11 O's that are between the inside pearls. So we will pick up 3 15-0 seed beads, and then an 11 O, 3 15-0 seed beads, television is very loud, sorry guys. I think it's my son's, but like this. And we're exiting this little 11 O. We're coming out of this side, so I'm going to go into the 11 O between the pearls over here. You can puff them up if you want to. We'll have to push them back down through because this is the back side. But if you need to pop the beads up in order to see the 11 O's, you can do that. So I've gone from this 11 O to this 11 O with my series of seed beads. And again, you will pick up the same series, 3 15-0s, an 11 O, and 3 15-0 seed beads. Sorry, it's taking me forever. There we go. Now, we've got this 11 O here that we're coming out of. We're going to go over to this 11 O, and we are going to slide through it. Like so. And then I'll just push my beads back down. And now I am exiting this little 11 O. I will do the same thing again. I will pick up the 3 15-0 seed beads, an 11 O, and 3 15-0 seed beads onto my needle like this. I'm coming out of this little 11 O. I will go into this 11 O between my next two pearls. And I'm going to pop it up so I can see it and go through it. Can be difficult to get through them every now and then. They're just not very accessible, but you can do it. It's very possible. Then, now we have three little loops over our inside beads here. We need to make one more. So we will pick up 3 15-0 seed beads, and an 11 O, and 3 15-0 seed beads onto our needle like this. And we're coming out of this little 11 O here. We need to go into the first 11 O that we've started from, and we will also go up 3 15-0 seed beads and the 11 O on top of the pearl here, and slide through. Push your little inside pearls back down in like this, and now you are exiting this top little seed bead here. Let's get just a tiny bit closer while I do this so you can see. And now I am exiting this little 11 O seed bead here. I am going to go over to the next 11-0 seed bead, keeping in mind the direction of my thread so that I don't cross over this way. It will not be laying correctly. My thread is coming out of this side, so I will go to the next bead on that side. And I will pull the little beads together. Now, yes, my thumb will cover this as I'm doing this, but I have to hold the piece like this. And then we will go into the next 11-0 and then into the very next one, which is the one we started in. And this will pull a little net over the top of our inside beads like this. And we can puff them back up and make the other side pretty again once we get this all secured. So I'm just kind of pushing my pearls back down as I do this. And now I'm coming out of this little bead here. I am going to sew back through all 4 of these little 11-0s in the center again, because we need to secure them and make sure that they're nice and tight. So we'll sew through all of them. Like so. And once I get back to this very last one, I'll exit it, pull very tightly, make sure that my center is nice and neat and pretty, and this is the back of our piece. This is what's going to hold everything together. So we need to get back to the front, so we're going to sew up. I'm coming out of this little 11-0 right here. I'm going to sew up these 3 little 15-0s and exit. And then I'm going to sew into this 11-0 between the beads here. You can go into the 15-0s also, because we're going to sew up into them anyway. So if you pick one up, that's fine. So I am now coming out of one of these little 15-0s. I need to get up to this little 11-0 here. So I'm going to go back into the other 2 15-0s that I left behind here, or haven't entered yet, and I'm going to go into this 15-0. I'm going to turn my piece over, and I'm going to exit through the front of my piece here, just like this. And this is what you should have. This is what the front of your piece should look like. You're exiting this little 11-0 seed bead right here. Now we need to go up into these 3 little 15-0s. So I'm right here. I'm going to go up into these 15-0s, and I am going to exit this 11-0 right between my beads. Now this will get a little thread tight. You may need your flat nose pliers, and this is also where 6-pound Fireline may come in handy rather than 8. Okay, so I'm exiting this little 11-0 right here. I'm going to back off some so that I don't get out of frame. We're going to do the same thing on these beads. We're going to do another netting type embellishment, but this time we're going to pick up 4 15-0s and 11-0 and 4 15-0s onto our needle. So pick up 4 15-0s and 11-0, and then 4 15-0s like this. Now we are exiting this little 11-0 on this side, so we're going to go into the next 11-0 between the beads in the center here. Just go through the 11-0 and then pull your beads around the inside pearls like this. And again, pick up 4 15-0 seed beads and 11-0 and 4 15-0 seed beads. We're coming out of this 11-0. We're going to go into the next 11-0 between the next 2 pearls like this. And then again, you will pick up 4 15-0 seed beads and 11-0 and 4 15-0 seed beads. Like this. You're coming out of this little 11-0. I'm going to kind of push this pearl down here and come into the 11-0 between the next two pearls, like this. And then one more time. Pick up 4 15-0 seed beads and 11-0 and 4 15-0 seed beads. And then we will go into the next 11-0, and we will also go up into the 15-0s next to it. And that's going to take a couple of tries probably. So I've gone through the 11-0 and 2 15-0s. So I'm going to go through the next 2 15-0s, and then I will exit the 11-0 on the top of the pearl. Give it a nice tug. Make sure that your embellishment is nice and neat. And now we will add an embellishment with our crystals. So we're coming out of this 11-0. We will be working from the 11-0s to the pearls. We will pick up a 15-0 seed bead and a 4mm bicone crystal, and then we will go into from the 11-0 into the pearl right here. Now I'm going to cut this tail off because it just keeps getting in my way. Now I'm going to pick up, I have to work from this pearl to this 11-0. So I'm going to pick up a 4mm bicone crystal like this, and then a 15-0. And I will go into the little 11-0 in the strands that we just created. And then again, I will pick up a 15-0 seed bead, a 4mm bicone crystal, and I will go into the pearl next in line. And hopefully it'll pull down. There we go. And then again, I will pick up a 4mm bicone crystal and a 15-0 seed bead, and I will go into the 11-0 on the top strand. Now see, you have 11-0s down here in your original very first unit. Don't go into those. Go into the top ones on the inside pearls here. Then pick up a 15-0 seed bead and a bicone crystal, and then go into the next pearl. And pull them tight. And you want this embellishment to be nice and neat, so make sure that you don't have any slack. Then, again, we're coming out of the pearl, so we'll pick up our bicone crystal first, then a 15-0, and we will go into just the 11-0 here. I just want to get that 15-0. And then we'll pick up a 15-0, a bicone crystal, and go into the next pearl. And then one more time, we will pick up a bicone and a 15-0, and we will go into the first 11-0 that we started in, right here. And this is what you should have so far. Now we are going to do a little embellishment on the side here. And we'll be working in the two 11-0s. Let's get real close. We'll be working in these two 11-0s that we have in our little netting strands here. So I'm coming out of this 11-0 on the top. I'm going to pick up a 15-0 seed bead, and then a bicone crystal, and then a 15-0 seed bead. I'm going to go into the same side. I'm exiting this side of this 11-0 on the top. I'm going to go into the same side in the 11-0 on the bottom strand and exit just the 11-0 like this. I'm going to pull the crystal and the 15 O's down like this. And then I'm going to pick up a 15O seed bead. Now the crystal's covering our 11 O's, so it's a little bit more difficult to see, but that's okay because I'm coming out of this little 11O. I picked up my 15O. I'm going to go back up through the crystal I just put on. I'm going to pull my thread down so that my 15O pops right there on the bottom in front of the 11O. And then I'm going to pick up a 15O seed bead, and I'm going to go into the other side that we started from on the 11O in the top here, and I'm going to pull it into place. Now arrange your crystal so that it's nice and neat, like so. Then we will sew down into the 15O in the crystal here. We'll go into the pearl here, up through the crystal here, and the 15O and the 11O, so that we're just on the next set of 11Os in between the pearls, or between the bicones, whichever way you want to look at it. And then pick up a 15O seed bead, a 4mm bicone crystal, and a 15O seed bead. Now we are coming out of this side of our little 11O. We're going to go into the 11O on the bottom strand here and exit it. And then just gently pull your bicone crystal and your 15Os down into the space between the other two bicones. And then pick up a 15O seed bead, go back up through the crystal, pull your thread through, turn your piece over, pick up another 15O seed bead, and go through the opposite side of the original 11O that you started to place your crystal in, right here. Just like that. And then we'll go through this, and we're coming out of the 11O, we'll go through this little 15O down here, into the next crystal, and we will work our way all the way around, put another one here and another one here, and we'll be back. Okay, so I have gone all the way around my entire piece, putting on my little third bicone crystal, and this is what the piece looks like once you have done that. Now I'm coming out of the top of this 11O after putting on my last bicone. What I'm going to do, let's get close. We are going to go into, I'm coming out of this little 11O here. We are going to go into the 15O on top of the crystal that we just added. One of them. It doesn't matter. Well, yes, it does. Go into the one closest to the side you're exiting from the 11O. Go down into the bicone crystal you just added. Go into the little 15O on the bottom of it, staying on the same side you've been working on. And then go into the 11O seed bead that you've attached that bicone crystal to, right here. And just exit it. Just like this. Now we are going to do a little right angle weave here. So we're going to start with 11O seed beads on this first one. So we're going to pick up 3 11O seed beads. And we're going to come back through the opposite side of the 11O we're exiting. Just like so. Pull them down carefully, like this. Then you will sew back through this entire unit one more time. Now that 11O on your component may be getting tight, but you need to try to go through it again anyway, because this is going to attach your band and it needs to be secure. So go through that little 11O on the unit again. and then we will work to the top bead in the unit we just created. So coming through the side here, and then come up through the top 11-0 here. And this is what you should have. Now I'm going to back off again, and we are going to begin a right angle weave with 8-0 seed beads. So we are going to pick up 3 8-0 seed beads, and we're coming out of this side of this 11-0. We're going to go into the opposite side of the 11-0, just like this. Then we're going to sew back through this entire unit, like so. Oops. This will make it neat, and it will make it very strong, considering that this is a band and ring bands need to be very strong. You do not want to skip this step. Plus, it will make your weave much neater, like this. Now, we will put another unit. Pick up 3 more 8-0 seed beads. You're coming out of this side, going to the opposite side. Pull the beads down. You can turn it over if you'd like. Sew back through all of the beads. Again, and you will do this with each unit you create. I'm making my messy. I'll clean it back up in a second here. Like this. That's my second unit. I will sew up to the top. We'll do one more here. And at this point, you will do these units till you have enough for the size ring you want to create. Now, people have asked me questions after I've made rings. What exactly size was it? It does not matter what size I make. You can make any size you want, and this is how you adjust it with your units that you're creating right now. You can grab a ring mandrel. You can put it on a ring mandrel to see if you want to make a specific size. You can just wrap it around. This is what a ring mandrel looks like, and you can just slide it on. You can make size 6, 7, 8. Those are the most popular sizes. Or you can make like a 5 or a 4 if you want it to be for a very small person or for a pinky finger. So you will just slide it on here, wrap it around, and see how big your ring will be as you're making your units. Or you can just try it around your finger and see how big you need. So you'll get several units made, and then you'll try it on your finger. So I've gone and I've made another unit here. I picked up 3 8-0 seed beads, went through the opposite side of the bead that I was exiting from, and then I will sew back around. And we will continue making these units until we get the length we want. And then we'll come back and I will show you how to connect it, and we'll do the next step. So from here, I will just pick up 3 more 8-0 seed beads, and then I will sew back through the opposite side, and then sew through it again. And I will continue making these units until I have as many as I think I need to fit around my finger, and we'll be back. So I have made my right angle weave for my band. I've made 10 units. I have a rather large hand, so I have to make quite a few units. You may need a lot less than I need. And I'm going to make this for one of my larger fingers also. So since it's a large top, I want to put it on either a pointer finger or this finger here, the middle finger. So I'm going to make mine rather large. Now, I've made my 10 units. I need to make one more unit with 11-0 seed bead at the end. So I'm going to pick up an 8-0 seed bead, an 11-0 seed bead, and an 8-0 seed bead. And I'm going to make one more unit that will match this unit here, so that when I attach, I will have all 11 O's to attach to this 11-0 in my ring. So you'll pick up an 8-0, an 11-0, and an 8-0, and then sew back through them just as you've been doing as you've been making your band weave here. And we'll go back through it, and then I'm going to sew back up through the top until I'm exiting the little 11-0 seed bead at the end here, right here. Let's get just a little closer while I do this so you can see what I'm doing. Right here. Now, we've got this 11-0 here we're going to attach to. So we need to pick up an 11-0 seed bead. We're coming out of this 11-0 seed bead here. We're going to go down into this 11-0 seed bead that's between the 15-0s. And it can be rather difficult to pick up, so just take your time and pick it up and pull your beads around like this. Pick up one more 11-0 seed bead and then go through the 11-0 seed bead on your band weave right here. Like this. Pull them down like this and then sew back through that entire unit again. Go back through the one on the ring itself, on the component. And then come through the 11-0 on the side. And now we're going to go, I'm actually going to do this twice on this side just to make sure that everything's nice and tight. So I'm going to go through it one more time. Oops, I got a 15-0. I don't want that 15-0. Go back through it. And then I'll go back through the one on the unit here. I'm just trying to get my needle in position to do my next little step here. So I'm going to come through the 11-0 right here on the side here, right underneath my Bicone crystals. And then I'm going to pick up 11-0 seed bead, and I'm going to go from this 11-0 seed bead into the 8-0 right beneath it, like so. And then I'm going to pick up another 11-0, and I am coming out of this 8-0 here. I'm going to go into the next 8-0. And I am just going to, this will cinch my band up a little bit too. So you want to make it just slightly big, and this will cinch it together a little bit. And it'll make it stronger, it'll make it smoother and easier to wear. So just go ahead and put 11-0 seed beads all the way around your band till you get to the 11-0 on this side, and we'll be back. Okay, so I'm coming out of the little 11-0 in my last unit here. Well, not quite my last. My very last unit is the unit that's attached to the ring itself. So what I have to do is I'm coming out of this 8-0. I'm going to pick up an 11-0. I'm going to go into the 11-0 right underneath these bicones here. And then I have to go into the 11-0 on the component itself again. Now this is getting a little thread tight here. I'm going to grab my, it's not horrible, it goes through rather smoothly, but you might need to use your chain nose pliers to get it through. My thread tangled. That's lovely. I got it through. I don't know how I did that, but I did it. Woohoo. Now, I'm going to come out of the little, I'm coming out of the one on the ring itself here, on the component. I'm going to go into the side 11-0, right underneath there. Make sure I don't have any 15-0s or anything. And then I'm going to begin again picking up 11-0 seed beads. I'm coming out of this 11-0, I'm going to go into this 8-0. And I'm going to slide an 11-0 between them. And I'm going to do this all the way, the entire length of my band again. So continue putting the 11-0s between the 8-0s, and we'll be back. So I have done my entire length of 11-0s between the 8-0s, and now I'm right here coming out of this last 8-0 right before I get to the 11-0 on my unit. I'm going to pick up an 11-0. I'm going to go into the 11-0 on the unit here, and then I have to go into pull this tight, cinch it together. Then I need to go into the 11-0 here under the crystals again. Pull it through. And then I will just sew through some of my band here. I'll go up through this 11-0 here and several of the beads and exit. I will catch a half hitch knot on the thread bridge here, like so. I'll sew down into this 8-0 here, go down to the other side of my band, go through several of the beads, grab a half hitch knot, and I will continue doing this until I feel like it's very secure. I will cut my thread and run it down with a lighter so that it doesn't slip through my beads, and we'll be back. Okay, so I have finished my band, and this is what it looks like. I'm going to slide it onto my finger here. Let you see what it looks like on the finger, like this. This is the back of it. And I think it's rather pretty. It turned out pretty nice. And it's fairly comfortable. It's not poking me or doing anything weird. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and see you again soon. Bye-bye.